Everybody uses the term, I want to build generational wealth. But then why are you spending your money to this degree that you're living paycheck to paycheck?
People online are faking it. No, some people are really truthing it. That is their truth. Facts. They are living good and well.
Don't settle for those guys because you don't believe that you would be able to find somebody that can match you in that area. It's better for you to be alone and actually wait than to spend time dwelling in a distraction. That's what's going to delay your destiny.
One of the biggest things our generation unfortunately is plagued with right now is we're all suspicious of each other.
100%.
And if you don't trust somebody, you can't build with somebody.
Hello and welcome to the To My Sisters podcast. I'm Renee.
And I'm Courtney, and we are your online sisters and hosts of the To My Sisters podcast.
Now we are all about promoting the wellness, growth and development of a community of sisters across the world.
And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about finances in marriage and building wealth with your partner off of the back of last week's episode.
Life-changing.
Jesus.
Life-changing.
Last week, if you haven't seen it already, we dropped an episode with the humble Penny. Ken and Mary, you blessed the podcast with such wisdom and such insight about your journey of marriage, building wealth in marriage, and discovering financial joy as a couple. And I don't know about y'all, but we were blown away by the advice that was given in that episode. And of course, in true TMS fashion, we need to unpack.
Oh, we needed to gist. We needed to gist. The humble Penny, you people are too humble. You're too humble. Geez.
So yeah, in this episode, we are going to be talking about the power of partnership. We're going to be talking about making money with your partner, aligning your finances, and also building trust in your relationship, as well as finding contentment when it comes to material wealth as well. It's gonna be a very good episode.
I'm really excited. That's some big boy topics there, right there. Love that.
Yeah. But housekeeping.
And there's a lot to sweep. There's a lot to sweep. Now, if any of you have been on the TMS channels and the TMS ecosystems, you know that we are doing a whole bunch of things for the girlies. The first of which, London ladies stand up. Stand up, please. TMS live in London for the 4th year in a row.
Crazy.
Outside. Tickets will be dropping on the 1st of September. Don't lack. Serious. We say this every single year, and yet every single year there's always a trifling sister or two that is lacking.
Oh, not trifling. Trifling. Sisters, we love you.
4th year in a row, girl.
She said it, not me. But caveat to that. Exclusive ticket drop for sisters on the mailing list is on the 1st of September. General release is 2nd of September. If you are familiar with the Sisterhood, that mailing list, those girls, the exclusive girls, they snap up tickets like that.
Eat it up.
So I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you sign up to the mailing list.
You should.
Before the 1st of September. Don't sign up on 9 a.m. on September 1st and then ask where's the link.
There's nothing for you. There's nothing for you.
No. Before the 1st of September, go to tomysisters.com, put your email in, and that's it.
That's all you need to do.
You're part of the mailing list.
That's literally it.
And then we will send you the link to buy a ticket on the 1st of September. And then whatever is left will go out on the 2nd of September. Are we getting each other?
Come on now.
Yeah. I just want to put you on game. All right? There we go.
We're just letting you know because we care about you.
Yeah, we do. Greatly.
You can't say and come to us, oh, but I missed it. We don't want to hear it.
No.
We don't want it.
No.
For the 4th time in a row, we don't want to hear it.
No.
So respectfully, respect yourself and your sister, and make sure that you are available at TMS Live in London, because I heard on the grapevine, we're about to have a great show.
Oh, I think so. And honestly, sisters, you have showed up and showed out year after year after year since 2021 to support the TMS live shows. We are so grateful. And we know that with your help, this is going to be our best one yet.
Fantastic.
It is our home city. And so, we have to give it our all. So please, we want to see you there. Bring a sister, bring a friend, bring a guy. Because, we've opened up the space now, but make sure he's an ally.
An ally. Yeah. A guy that's an ally.
There we go.
And you know what? We often get some really bad reports from our global sisters that are like, what about us? When are you guys going to come to our city and whatnot?
Yeah.
First of all, we need to know which cities to come to.
Yeah, but the girl's been out here saying...
Okay, which cities to come to this year, next year? Please. Which cities to come to this year, next year, please? Thank you. God bless you. But for those of you that are also familiar with things that we do over at TMS World, we are gearing up for our next international girls trip.
Girls trip. We're going on a girls trip. Hey, girls trip. We're going on a girls trip.
Hey, we're going to Ghana. We're going to Ghana.
We are going to Ghana in March.
I'm so excited.
I'm not going to lie. Basically, half the places are gone.
I
just want that to be known.
Call me Ajwa because I was born on a Monday. I come every single week to tell you guys humbly that my name is Ajwa and Etisen. Every single week, I will be peppering you guys with this information, whether you like it or not.
Well, if you want to come with us to enjoy time in Ghana with me and Ajwa, then sign up using the link down in the description. If you are new to the Sisterhood, then let me give you a bit of a backstory. Every year, we do an international girls trip with some of our podcast listeners, and we go away to bond, do sisterhood, do some deep internal work, but also go on adventures and have fun and make core memories. And so if you are somebody who wants to travel but maybe is a little bit scared, or wants to go to Ghana and wants to go with people, or maybe you just want to come and spend some quality bonding time with us as well and other like-minded phenomenal women in a space where you can actually feel safe and there is a lot of organization around the trip, then you need to come on this trip with us. Absolutely. We do these trips in collaboration with Sorted Chalet, which is a Ghana-based travel company who have taken us to Tanzania, Bali, where else have we gone? South Africa. We have been out and about with them, and they're coming in clutch to bring us to their very own home city of Accra. We're also going to be exploring different parts of Ghana as well. It is safe, it's secure. We make sure that everyone feels comfortable and gets to know each other beforehand as well. This is not just a where am I going, will I be safe? Nah, we ensure that safety is our top priority. And so many girls, over 40 girls at this point, have experienced the TMS girls trip and have such raving reviews about it. So we hope to see you there. Apply. You have to apply. It's not just there. Buy. You have to apply.
And the reason that we have this application form is not necessarily because you have to be of a certain caliber per se. No. It's more so we actually want to get to know more about you. This is a girls trip where we have the opportunity to make new friends. We're in close quarters with some incredible women across the sisterhood. And we just want to make sure that everybody is coming with the best of intentions and the best vibes. So girlies, make sure you really represent yourselves as best as possible. This really is about forging those connections that will last a lifetime. Literally, our group chats are still popping off. The girls are still friends. The girls are still hanging out with each other outside of the trip. So if you are somebody that is ready and primed to dive into female friendship, or if you're somebody that, is a little bit shy and wants to try it out for the first time, this is the place to be. Absolutely. Give us a chance. We are not serial killers. We have 3 trips to prove it now. This is our
Everyone
4th one.
returned home safely.
Everyone returned home safely and returned home safely with a new friend. So that could be you.
Yeah. So make sure that you sign up and actually apply using the link in the description as well as in the show notes, and we'll get through all of those applications, and then you can get to making your payments and stuff. So sisters, we hope to see you there in March. The Sisterhood is on and popping. Second half of the year is always busy at TMS World, so
turn up.
More exciting things,
more life.
So to dive straight into the conversation, we have a ding
dilemma.
And it is actually money related.
Okay. Okay.
It's not every day, man.
I don't. Sometimes money.
Just sometimes real cash dollar. Anyways.
Money.
Hi, Courtney and Renee.
Hi.
You guys are the light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, so romantic.
That's very, very, very sweet.
Stop it, you saucy mates. Get out of here.
The older sisters I never had, and the hope for having a world where people have basic common sense. Okay, so my dilemma. Apologies, it's a bit long. My mum is a single mother of 6 children. I am the oldest, so by default, I am the first she comes to for anything. During COVID, I worked like a dog day and night and saved a lot of money. She asked me what plans I had for the money. I told her, I don't know, I'll just keep saving until I know what I want to do. I don't know what went off in her brain, but I guess what she took it as was she's not using it, so she doesn't need it. So bit by bit, like once every few months to once a month, she asked me for money to send back home and and to help around the house. She would ask for small amounts, then gradually large amounts, like $2,000, then $5,000, then $10,000, until all my money was gone. I love my mum. She's an amazing mother. So I wanted to help. But as she kept asking, she made it seem like it was my duty, since I'm the only one that's reliable and can help her. And you can close your mouth already.
Sorry, I'm so shocked.
And because I didn't have any plans for my money, it's better to use it than let it just sit there. It's my fault. Because even in my anger, and trust me, I was fuming, I still gave it to her. For context, I'm 25 years old. And she actually put in here the amount that was borrowed in total. And guys, it is a large, think house deposit amount. It is a large amount of money. So now I'm still living at home, starting from scratch, when I should be shaking my ass on a yacht. She says she'll pay me back. No, I believed it at first until she would say it to my siblings and mention it in conversations. Oh, sorry. I believed it at first because she would say it to my siblings and mention it in conversation. But now when she tells me things she has to pay off and her future plans, paying me back isn't mentioned anymore.
Yeah.
I've lost hope and taught myself to be okay with losing all my money and starting again. But in teaching myself to be okay with it, I've also taught myself selfishness, anger, and frustration towards her and anybody that asks me for help. How do I learn to say no and be firm with my mother and keep myself from becoming someone with no heart to help people? Love, 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 all the way from down under.
Australia. I'm not even going to try the accent.
Australia.
That's one that I'm working on. I'll end up sounding like someone from Bolton. It's really not. That's not great. And the sisters, to be fair, my accents are not that bad.
They're not. You're not too shabby.
First of all, that's such a compliment.
No problem.
First of all, sis, so sorry.
Really
there
sorry.
is not losing that amount of money is enough to give you heart palpitations.
Keep you up at night.
Keep up with one eye just twitching like, if you don't return that. I am so sorry. And I think what also makes this really hard is that this is somebody that is so near and dear to you. This is somebody that, for all intents and purposes, should be your caregiver. So I can understand that this probably is a source of deep trauma for you. And I am so sorry. I think it's also wonderful that you have taken accountability for yourself in terms of the boundaries that you probably should have had. Having said that, I wouldn't be too hard on myself if I were you, because A, you're still really, really young, and B, we always want to help our family, right? Like some of us don't. Yeah, hello. But it's a natural thing to want to help your family and help the people that you love. And the fact that you express that you still love your mom, you really care about your siblings, and the fact that you have so much empathy for her situation, I think that's beautiful. And it shows that you are still somebody that has a heart. You are still somebody that is personable. And it also shows great resilience, but also resourcefulness, that you could save up that amount of money.
Absolutely.
So as much of you may have lost it, as much of you have learned some really hard and tough lessons in this season, pat yourself on the back. There are so many people your age that have not even saved half of that amount, or were not able to implement the kind of habits that took you to that place in the first place. So well done, kudos to you. And if you were able to do it once, guess what, baby? You can do it again. And as easy as it sounds to say that, it's true.
Yeah.
If you were able to do that and you have the prospect of starting from fresh with these new habits and these new lessons, there is nothing stopping you from saving that amount, if not more, or multiplying your money, or thinking about ways that you can start again. So the deep kind of sense of distrust it may have given yourself, I would say don't be too harsh on yourself. I think it's very, very natural to want to support at home. And yes, it's a big amount. And yes, when you are in an environment of lack and scarcity, it kind of feels almost selfish to be selfish and really focus on yourself. You've learned the hard way, but you've also learned that you are somebody that is resourceful. So good on that, and stand on that.
Yeah.
In terms of dealing with your heart posture, girl, first of all, you need to process. I think it's fantastic that you've identified, like, look, this is actually causing me to feel a type of way. Because most people will just be moving, they'll be moving hard-fisted. And then, there's nothing. There's nothing else that I can do. But I think what this has really taught you is that you can give, but sometimes there has to be limits to those giving. And you also cannot give from an empty cup. I know it's so cliche to say, but this is a classic example of pouring out until you're empty. And and then you have nothing to give. And especially it becomes difficult when you are the only person that's pouring into yourself in that particular area, right? So it sounds like, for all intents and purposes, you are the most reliable, you are the oldest, and it sounds like you have had to only rely on yourself, at least in the area of finances, which means that it's even more important for you to protect yourself in that area, because at this point, the only source of, financial stability is you. So I would definitely say it's not a bad thing to be selfish. It's more so protecting yourself and protecting your capacity, because you can only give so much.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of reinventing yourself, really taking some time to identify, okay, what am I working towards? Because I think it's very easy to give and, be in that environment and think that these are the most pressing issues that need to be solved if you haven't determined for yourself what is important in my life and what do I need to funnel resourcing towards. That's a priority, right? So even as you are thinking about saving and giving, it really is about identifying what's important to you right now and how are you going to be able to liberate yourself in this particular situation, and then funneling the resources towards that. And I think actually having a goal might be really helpful, and also funnel some of that negativity and resentment that you might have towards other people, because it means you're now focused on a vision. Like, it's really, really important for us as women, in fact, to have a vision for our finances. And I think it was actually put so beautifully in the last episode where Mary and Ken featured. It's important to have a vision for your finances, and it's important to be working towards something so that when it's crossed and that you've actually gotten to that threshold, but also how to move accordingly to be able to facilitate that. I think space is also necessary. I know it's hard because obviously you live under the same roof, but I think it's in those small moments of peace that you can find in maybe going for regular walks, maybe throwing yourself back into habits and activities that bring life and really fill your cup. As much as you're in an environment that might be draining your cup right now, you can balance that out by going to environments and spaces and hanging out with people that actually fill your cup. Because right now it feels like you're in a deficit, and it's often when you're in a deficit that you're clinging onto the most unhelpful and most kind of negative things to just stay afloat. So really focus on filling in your cup, not just financially, but also emotionally, mentally, spiritually, going to places and things that actually bring you joy to really uplift you. And then you'll actually find yourself like not even having enough time or not even having enough space or emotional capacity to dwell on some of this kind of negative energy that you have. And I think also take it slow, like reintroduce giving. You are certainly not obligated to continue giving, especially at that particular standard. If it is, you need to even practice the art of saying no in those moments and repeatedly saying no, right? It's often so hard to have boundaries with our family members, but whenever your mother asks or if anyone else asks you, it's, I don't have that right now, or I don't have that for you. I can give up until this limit, but that's all I've got.
Yeah.
And it doesn't warrant you having to explain yourself. You don't have to go into the details of what you're saving for. I think it's also that having some boundaries on the information, but also having some boundaries on your capacity to give. It is okay to give with boundaries. So really being quite firm in future instances and almost encouraging yourself to say, I can give, but here is my boundary. And here is me also using that as an opportunity to fulfill the vision that I have for myself too.
Absolutely.
And just really take your time with it. This is not something that will be solved overnight, especially because it's something that has progressed over time as well, right? To go from the small to the big. But in order to change that pattern or that habit, we have to install new habits, new patterns, and break the cycle on a daily basis. So in the same way that kind of pattern progressed, you have to be really intentional about implementing those boundaries over a long period of time and really actively and intentionally working on your mindset, filling your cup and enacting those new boundaries on a day-to-day basis too. So that's what I would say. But I think CDB would love to hear what you...
I think that's spot on. I think you've given a wide coverage of all the issues at play here. I would remind you, sis, that this is not your fault in that your good-heartedness did not get you into this position where you lost everything. It was someone taking advantage of that. So I think the negative aspect or the responsibility here really is majority on your mum. In terms of for yourself, though, I think you have to learn generosity with boundaries, right? And I think it's in what you said, phrasing things as I can't do it, or I don't have the capacity for it, or this is how much I've allocated to my contribution.
Yeah.
Because if your mother is, I can sympathize with that feeling of, and we both can, having a single parent who is the primary caretaker of multiple children. On top of that is a financial provider for extended family, and people are actually depending on them. And so I think you having sympathy for your mother's position is not a negative thing. And you being aware that her position may not have changed just because she, borrowed such a significant amount of money from you repeatedly. I don't think it necessarily makes you a bad person or makes you stupid. Sorry, not even a bad person. I don't think it makes you stupid, naive, or ignorant to be like, I still want to help my mum out, right? And I know you said that on this journey, you've learned selfishness, but I do think that you are in your family and you are positioned in the way you are for a particular reason. And so I think providing some assistance to your mother is not a bad thing at all. And whilst you have been burnt, it doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't try extending that hand again. However, you need very, very clear boundaries for yourself and that you articulate to your mom that this is the maximum I can give you every month. I have seen the struggles that you're going through. I want to help you, but I can't give you those lump sums anymore. My money has run out.
Yep.
I have forgiven you of your debt, because it doesn't sound like you're ever going to get it. And the more you hold on to it, the more resentful you're actually going to be. Forgive her of her debt and now set your boundary around, because I'm now building up my savings again. I can only give you $200, $300 a month max. That's all I have. That's actually all I have. You need to either go to my other siblings, send them out to get work. If they can't do that, you need to go and seek some other assistance from somewhere. You need to go and find our father. Whatever it is.
Big facts.
Whatever it is,
Big
but
facts.
It's not going to be on me. And just let her know I've allocated this much because I still want to help. And I think that will help you soften your heart a bit, because it does sound like, understandably, the resentment has hardened your heart towards the situation. But I think being a generous person, being a compassionate person is actually such a beautiful virtue that unfortunately a lot of people take for granted and take advantage of, but it is still a virtue nonetheless. And so I wouldn't want you to lose that beautiful part of your character because somebody has abused it in the past. So I think you definitely need to just set some ironclad boundaries around it. And obviously you can adjust it as time goes on. But I think what you said as well around having a vision for your money is super important here. I think one of the core things you've identified was the reason why your mum took advantage of this situation was because you articulated that you didn't have a plan for this money. You need to tell her, I am saving this money for something. Even if you don't know what it's saving for. Listen, I am saving this money for something. I need it. I can't give it to you. I need it for something. And I hear this thing a lot from different women. I'm really uncomfortable saying no. This is not a personal struggle for me, because for me personally, I have a deep understanding of the fact that me saying yes to you is me saying no to me. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like having to continually say no to me to say yes to you when you never say yes to me.
Facts.
So how about we flip the script and say no to them? Versus putting ourselves on the losing end. And it's okay to sacrifice. It's okay to compromise sometimes. And that's the thing. It's about balancing how often that happens, because the more it happens or the more it goes over your comfortable threshold, the more you're going to feel taken advantage of. And so allow yourself to just feel comfortable, not necessarily saying, no, I don't have it for you, but being like, this is what I have, take it or leave it, but I can't give you more because I know I have a vision and I have an amount that will make me feel comfortable. And yes, that does cause some people to be angry with you. Let them be angry. Let them be angry. They need to go and find the money somewhere else. The same way they brought themselves with their chest to ask you, they should take their chest and ask somebody else. I don't have it.
Oh, and also you're not obligated to tell people how much you have.
Absolutely not.
Babe, just
privacy is key, especially when it comes to our parents. Privacy is key in certain areas. And I know some cultures, there are different boundaries and different customs. Some parents require you to show them a paycheck. Some parents don't care how much you're making and they just see you as a child. So I think find a way to articulate what you are actually comfortable with. And also I think if you can, just let your mum know that, like, mum, I feel like last time I gave you just too much of what I had. And so now I need to start saving towards this thing that I'm saving towards. And to be very honest, if your mum doesn't think you've already done enough, you'll never have done enough. Like, you've done a lot already to have sacrificed that much. That's why I'm saying just forgive her of the debt and just be like, Mum, you know, I saw that you were struggling. I've given this to you. Don't worry about paying me back. But I need to move on from this as well. And so I'm going to contribute this much to the family, but that's it. And you don't need to tell her how much on top of that you're making. But I really love the encouragement you said at the beginning. Girl, if you have made it before, you can make it again. 100. I can guarantee you. If you have made it before, you can make it again. Just set your face and focus on that goal and then decide what you're going to do after it as well. Sorry you went through this though, because parents can be so difficult. But I think this also begs a bigger thing for anybody. Never give away money you're not willing to lose. Never borrow somebody money, no matter how close they are to you, that you're not willing to lose. Do not put money on the line that you are not willing to lose. That comes even down to investments. Truly. As well. Don't invest money you're not willing to lose. Because people can change like that. Their mind can change. Their situation can change. And so, girl, stop putting yourself on the back burner and start prioritizing your goals and your future and your stability. Well, that was a sad dilemma.
That was really upsetting.
Because I can imagine the pain and the resentment and the regrets. We're here now, Sha. Money is money. It can be made, it can be lost. But as long as we have life, you know, as long as we are breathing.
Oh, my, it's giving a praying auntie.
No, but as long as we have life, you know, because these are the sort of things that can make you scornful for the rest of your life.
And for that amount too.
Exactly. For the rest of your life. So don't let this hold your future captive. Like, still press on for your future, still get over the hurdles. It is sad that you now have an extra layer of resistance because you had money, now you don't, but keep pushing and don't let this make you bitter as well. So if you ever want to send us a dilemma, you can send it to dilemmas@tomysisters.com. shoot us an email and we'll get back to that. But into the conversation,
let's go.
So let's talk about money. I think one of the biggest things that really stood out from Ken and Mary's conversation was truly their humility. They are extremely humble people. And I think one of the things that stuck out really well to me, and even some of the comments under the episode were kind of highlighting, was this idea of knowing what is enough for you, right? Knowing that I can find contentment in how much that I make. And I think the first stage of that is really the modesty element that they were talking about, like when Ken was talking about Mary's car and how when he saw Mary didn't have the most lavish of cars.
Door falling off.
You know, but it was something that got her from A to B. And it made me think about our generation and how we kind of have an obsession with having flashy things young. And I thought we could start off that conversation there, because I think if you are going to build a long-term vision of wealth and financial stability and financial joy with your partner, you're going to have to embrace that it's not going to start off probably looking luxury. It's going to require a lot of investment. But my question is, why does our generation struggle so much with financial modesty?
Oh, man.
Or at the very least, cutting your clothes according to your size and budgeting.
Because everything is unnecessarily ostentatious. You cannot go outside, or rather, we are stuck inside. That's the real problem. Where we have unfettered access to other people's snapshots, right? And I think we often talk about the power of social media on this podcast, and it's quite ironic that we are using social media and digital platforms to share this, but I think it's equally important. We have so much access to parts of people's lives that we are creating patchworks of what we think life should look like based off of the crumbs or the pictures or the images that we're seeing of other people. And I think naturally as humans, we're also inclined to compare. We compare ourselves so much to next man. And we've been doing this as kids, right? Even as we were younger, it was, I want kickers. But I want kickers because I see that everybody else is wearing kickers, which are a type of shoe. I don't know if kickers are still in fashion, just to, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what the latest trend is. I'm not that young no more. But yeah, back in our day, it was the Just Do It bag. It's like everybody has a Just Do It bag. That's considered cool. So I should go and get that. And as we're getting older and older, and not that we're getting old, but we're getting older, it's now, I should be driving a Mercedes Benz because that's the thing that's in. And I'm seeing so many people with Mercedes Benzes, or, you know, I should be living in this really nice, lush apartment that's like overlooking the sea or the city or whatnot. And I shouldn't be living in this kind of place. So I think because we have the natural tendency to compare ourselves to other people, that is being fueled, and the fire is really being set underneath that furnace by, and really, what's the word? Exacerbated by the fact that we now have too much proximity to people's lives, and that we are now taking people that are exceptional as normal. There's so many people, and this is not to say like bash anybody, but it is not normal for people that are between the ages of say like 20 to 25. It is actually not normal nor average to be making six figures. It is not normal nor average to be having access to a lot of wealth, given our access to environmental things, given the fact that, you know, the average salary for most people, at least in the UK, is like under 30K. So that, but being paired with comparison, being paired with social media, being paired with things that we see online, which are constantly reinforcing messaging around, in order to look like you fit in, you should have this. It's causing a lot of people to think that in order for me to be accepted in society, in order for me to have status in society, I should have these markers of wealth, despite not having the wealth itself. We are having all of these. I can't remember what I was listening to, but it was talking about like wealth in certain communities and how having the display and the image of wealth, despite the lack of wealth, was so rampant, and it's actually preventing us from building real wealth. And we think that materialism and the display of material things is an indicator of wealth, when sometimes that can be an indicator of poverty.
Oh, jeez.
Truly, because there are some people, and again, I'm not trying to like judge anybody, but I do think that there is a disconnect in that there are some of us that are struggling to pay our rent, but we're driving in a Rolls Royce or like really nice car. Do you know what I mean? And the misplacement of our priorities when it comes to building real stability in us as individuals, us as a community, us in our families, us in our generations. There's a reason why people are there's like literally a decline in generational wealth. Everybody uses the term, I want to build generational wealth. But then why are you spending your money to this degree that you're living paycheck to paycheck?
Not squandering your children's inheritance for the bag.
For the bag.
Squat on a handbag, on a shoe,
and that shoe will even depreciate in value. So what are you handing down? And I think also financial modesty can be difficult because we don't have longevity in our vision for ourselves right? So a lot of us it's blow money fast. We had this term when I was growing up called blow money fast, BMF. Everybody had it everywhere, and we have a massive issue in this generation with retention and multiplication. We get money and we spend it, we blow it fast on these materialistic things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, blow money fast is crazy. That's crazy. We were not gang affiliated.
Blow money fast is
blow money fast is like that being a term. As youth, as young people, blow money fast. What kind of idiocy is that? What kind of idiocy? So, and I think lastly, the fact that we are a generation that is so prone to instant gratification. It's I have to have money now. And if I don't have money now, then I have to have the symbols that we associate with money now. Not realizing that this is compromising our capabilities of building true wealth, of building true freedom, of building true inheritance. We are settling for the sign of something as opposed to the essence of something. The sign of money rather than the essence of wealth. Like, we are finding ourselves in a position where we are gratifying our instant pleasures because we have no self-control. We have no discipline. Financial modesty requires discipline. Financial modesty requires self-control, but financial modesty also requires vision because you need to know why I'm being financially modest for. I need to know why I'm galvanizing these resources and what am I actually putting it to. But so many of us, because we're operating on such a short-term conception of what we think is important, because we're constantly prioritizing things that don't last, of course our money is not going to last. Of course we're not going to build generational wealth. Of course we're going to have nothing to pass down to our so-and-so kid. Most of us are not even thinking of that. This generation, most of us are not even really thinking of making money or building wealth in a way that can actually be passed down.
Yeah.
And many of us are just not willing to sacrifice the looks. We're not willing to sacrifice the status. We're not willing to sacrifice the instant gratification for a vision that will actually stand the test of time and the fruits that will actually be enjoyed by the next generation. So those are some of my thoughts.
I hear that. I think on the flip side of it, because I think everything you said is absolutely very true. I think on the flip side of it, though, there are some people who maybe grew up seeing a lot of that kind of scarcity mindset, or their parents kind of hoarding a lot of their money.
Yeah.
Or like, for example, if you grew up like me, your parents are constantly sending money back home.
Yeah,
but in home, here home, it's a different story. And I think that kind of culture or upbringing can make you feel like, like I want to actually enjoy the money that I make versus holding on to it, saving every day, like every day waiting for a rainy day, but it never rains. It's like, what about now, the sunny days? What are we doing? Can we get a canopy? Can we go to the beach?
I want to enjoy my life. I want to have my second cocktail.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about the bills.
And so I think there's also that element of blowing money, but actually it's just like, I want to enjoy my labor. And I think it's about finding that fine balance of not going too far to the extremes of, I don't want to feel bound by, that scarcity mindset. So now you're just going to be living as a slave to materialism, actually, which is another form of bondage. Like, it's another form of captivity in your mind that, like, no, I now need to spend all my money. You actually really don't. But I do think there is room to allocate money to enjoying in the season that you're in as well. And really defining what does enjoyment look like that doesn't pose a threat to the future that I want as well. Like, yes, I like a good cheeky holiday, but can we do 2 this year instead of 6? And especially, and I love what you're saying as well, like looking at what's informing your beliefs around how much and how much you should have and how much you should spend, because a lot of it is driven by social media, but the decisions that other people are making may not be the decisions that you should be making for yourself. And I know a lot of people, outline these things of like, oh no, but people online are faking it. No, some people are really truthing it. That is their truth. Facts. They are living good and well. The question is, are you making the same amount of money? Probably not. The question is, have you got the same financial systems behind you? Have you worked in the same industries? Have you got, maybe their pension is already sorted. You don't know what's going to happen post 50 years old.
Oh, this one does.
This is not, you're not meant to be living the same lifestyle. We're not all starting from the same place. Right. And so I think if you're looking at outward things to dictate to you how your life should look, you're always going to be living amiss, because you'll never have the full picture. And now you're trying to keep up with the Joneses when you don't know how the Jones keep their lights on. You need to figure out what's going to work for your life as well. So yeah, I think there's an element there about finding balance, but also, yes, allocating some money to enjoying your life now and prioritizing the things that are actually important for this season. I think that then brings us into finding a partner who you can have a vision with. Yeah. Because one of the beautiful things about Ken and Mary is how aligned they were in mindset when they first met. And I think there was a lot of intentionality behind that. They both seem like people who really knew exactly what they were going for in life and understood that there is so much power in agreement and so much power in alignment when it comes to you and your life partner, that you can't just pick anybody. But also, once you come across the right somebody, don't let that person go.
Oh, hello, hold on and hold fast.
For real. Ken, with them 27 gifts, I said,
you better setting the standard.
Setting the standard. But that brings us on to finding Mr. Right, right? And making sure that he's not just Mr. Right now, but Mr. Right for the future. Yes. Right? And right for where we are going. I think Ken and Mary did put us onto a lot of game around what you should be looking for. So definitely go and check out that episode. However, I wanted to talk about the narrative that is there are no good men left. Because they obviously got married decades ago as well. So I guess there's that fear of like, but that was then. This is the streets of Twitter, X, the F boys and
Red Pill,
summer girls, hot girls, or Red Pill, all of that. Are these people still around?
They're around, baby.
What would you say to the girlies who are like, listen, I want my own, but where is he at?
Yeah. Hold tight, the man them there that are, 27 gifts. That's what you need to come by. If he's not providing you with each gift, a gift for
each year of your life. That's crazy.
If he's not providing you for a gift, not me having another English failure.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you were having a bit of a minor.
I'm glad.
If he's not providing you with a gift,
I'm glad.
He's not providing you with a gift for every year.
If he ain't giving you something every year, you gotta let the man go. No, I'm trolling. But I think that first of all, as women, we need to stand on business more when it comes to choosing Mr. Right, or when it comes to having a life partner. I think one principal issue, and I know that it can really intensify our fear around not finding the right person, but I do think that we shouldn't compromise on our values and the vision that we have for ourselves too much, and we should stand on business just because we want to be with somebody. And I think that's where we distinguish between the Mr. Right now and Mr. Right. Mr. Right is going to be somebody that you can build with, somebody that you can align your vision with. Whereas Mr. Right now may make you feel good, maybe saying the right things for the present, but may not necessarily have the right capacity for the future. And I think for you to be able to discern between the two, you need to be somebody that's standing on business and actually standing on those visions and values. And I think that what really worked for Ken and Mary is the fact that they were aligned. Yeah. So what existed in Ken was also existed in Mary. And this is not me victim blaming or saying, oh, as women, we need to pull our reaches up and whatnot. But it becomes easier for you to discern the person that is right for you when you are also right within. It becomes easier for you to say, okay, cool. This is what I want for my future, especially financially, when you have gotten some of those elements straightened out in your life internally first, because it means that it just, the blinkers are on, the lights are on, you can actually see people, and also you can judge their actions. So as much as we do kiki about the whole 27 gifts thing, I think we also need to be cognizant of the actions that people take. There's a lot of people that can do a lot of talk. In fact, there's a lot of people that talk on these podcasts and they really ought to stop. They ought to, especially the men. I love you guys truly, but I do think that licensing thing we might need to look into quite seriously. But I do think that there is something about matching people up with what they say and what they do. Yeah. And I think for us as women, finding somebody that is a life partner will be demonstrated in their actions. There will be fruit. And even with a guy that is still, starting out, there's a lot of potential. There are behaviors and habits that you can look to that show a person's character. Yeah. Even with somebody like Ken and Mary, right? Neither of them were millionaires or anything like that just yet, but there were behaviors, signs, and habits that indicated that they were on a certain trajectory that was in line with their vision. So the person that you are spending time with, the guy that you're interested in, even if he is articulating a vision for his life, do you find that it's actually matching up with his behavior? Is he actually enacting those habits, or are there some behavioral signs that indicate that this is somebody that you can take at their word? Because if you have a whole bunch of poetic words and all these flowery language about your beautiful vision, but you've taken no steps to actually enact them, that is what they call a clown. That's what they call a clown in my book, a joker, because you're not serious. You're not serious. A serious person matches their words with their actions. Okay, that's what they call a joker in my language. But really matching up that vision with those behavioral actions. So he doesn't necessarily have to be the person that's earning six figures straight away. He doesn't have to be the person that is at the end of that vision, but they should have at least started. And I think that makes it easier for women to discern, okay, cool, is this a guy that I can actually rock with for my life, because he's already exhibiting the signs. And I think also taking your time, as frustrating as it can be, especially in today's, just life in general, there's so much pressure on women, and I find it hilarious that even in 2024 there's so much pressure for women to find somebody to settle down, etc., and still disproportionately to men. But take your time. Sometimes finding a life partner takes time, and that's okay. Especially for the sisters. We know that there's a whole bunch of sisters that are in relationships or married, and we love you guys, and we wish and pray that you also have a very fruitful relationship and continue to. But for the sisters that are single and searching, it's okay for a good thing to take time. Like, it's actually okay for you to wait it out and, spend time on yourself. It's actually okay for you to be in your season of singleness. Obviously, we don't have to idolize this thing, but it's actually okay if your life partner is not here yet, because there's a whole there is a whole bit of life for you to enjoy with that person anyway. So it's better for you to wait for the right one than to settle for the wrong one right now, because you settling for the wrong one right now might even delay your timing in terms of finding somebody that makes sense. So don't go on the little detours. We've spoken about detours a lot on this podcast, but don't settle for detours, especially men that are showing you behaviors or indications that they're not interested in the long haul, but they're also not aligned with a vision that you may have for yourself. Don't settle for those guys because you don't believe that you would be able to find somebody that can match you in that area. It's better for you to be alone and actually wait than to spend time dwelling in a distraction. That's what's going to delay your destiny.
That's so good.
So yeah, that's what I would say.
That is so good. I completely agree. I think the essence of finding a life partner is remembering that you're going to do life with them, which means that whilst you are making a decision now, this decision has a lifetime ripple effect, right? It's going to be from now to how your children experience life, to how your grandchildren experience life. So don't take this kind of choice lightly. And I love the emphasis around like choosing Mr. Wrong right now. Just because he's here doesn't mean he can take you there. Just because he's here now and, oh, it's time for me to get married, or it's time for me to buy my house, or it's time for me to settle down. It's time. Doesn't mean that this is the man who can take you into the future that you actually want, right? There is the time that we have as in the present and the season that we're in, but then there's also the seasons that stand ahead of us, which are determined by how we steward the season that we're currently in. And one of the ways that we show good stewardship is in the decisions and the choices that we make. And so I back everything you said 100%. You need to look at this man's actions. You need to make sure that there is an alignment here in values. One of the biggest things that was emphasized in that episode to me was values really matter. Like, does this person share the same values and principles as me? It's not about how much they have presently. It's about what principles are they carrying into our future, and are we going to be able to stand on those with integrity to be able to build the life that we actually want. And the last thing is, does this person have good work ethic? I think a lot of us forget just how powerful hard work actually is. And we talk about the myth of meritocracy here all the time. And I'm not talking about like, oh, more hard work means you get more, but I mean just in the sense of, is this person willing to do the work? If ish hits the fan, right? Is this man willing to do whatever it takes to make sure our family and our home is covered? Is this person willing to do the work from scratch? And I think we forget how much hard work that actually takes. It's not just about like, oh, we'll just do this, we'll just do that. No, like, it's actually, if we end up with nothing, are we both confident in each other that we have enough commitment to this relationship, to our family, and to our future to do what it takes, obviously legally and to the glory of the Lord. Do we both have confidence in each other that will do what it takes to get our life back to where it needs to be? That's a person who is dependable in a rainy day. That's someone who will have your back no matter what. And if you can't confidently say that about somebody's character, then that shouldn't be the person you do life with, because life is filled with up seasons and down seasons. Down seasons. You need somebody who can hold you down when things are down, and also someone who you're willing to hold down because they've proved to you that there's reciprocity there as well. And the last thing that I would say about this is, don't let external voices make you run away from a good thing just because it's not shiny right now. Just because all your friends are like, but he doesn't have this, he hasn't done this, he hasn't, they'll talk you out of a good thing, honey. They will talk you out of a good thing, honey. This is a personal decision. And of course, we are big here about friendship and sisterhood and counsel and community. However, this is a decision that you need to make for yourself personally. It's a personal decision. And so go away, pray, get aligned, get some self-awareness about you to really know, is this the person for me? Not just looking at what they have presently, but looking at who they are and what they are working towards, the values, the things that make up a person, the character, the values, the belief systems, like the infrastructure they have around their life. Looking at this person, is this a good person for me to build a life with? If the answer is yes, don't be looking, and don't let anybody talk you out of, but he hasn't built yet. What do you think I'm here for? To build with him.
And you know what, Courtney? That's a great point. No. That is a great point, because I think often we as women, we assume that we are great helpers.
Ooh,
Sometimes by virtue of being women, especially how we've been socialized, we think that we are great helpers. Some of us are actually liabilities.
Oh dear.
No, we are. Our spending habits, liability. Our capacity to multiply money, liability. Our capacity to retain and do anything, even invest, liability. So what I also love about Ken and Mary's example is the fact that they came together and they multiplied together, right? As individuals, we need to make sure that as we are picking Mr. Right, our life partner, we also need to make sure that we are life partners, that we are people that are capable of multiplication. We are people that are also hardworking. We are people, it may be in different ways, mind you, but we do need to make sure that we are going into this as partners, as equals, that we are capable of supporting somebody in that capacity too. And it's not by virtue of you being a good woman, but actually by virtue of you being a good helper, being a good steward, being a good multiplier. So I think not resting in the assumption that we are simply just there to be. We're also there to do.
And I think a lot of that though is people are kind of tired of that helper narrative. It's like, why do I have to help
every
you
day,
build?
bruh?
And
build a man.
And I think it's because disproportionately women have been given this whole, no matter who he is and what he's done and where he is at, you can change him, you can fix it, you can build a man workshop. And it's like, no, that's not what a helper is. There has to be something to help. There has to be something to put your hands to.
Oh my gosh.
There has to be something to help. No, and I'm not saying it has to be a big thing, but at least have a vision. At least have the bare materials that we can work with. just saying. And then the other part of that though is realizing that you're entering into a relationship with someone, especially when you're trying to build wealth. This is the huge context to this conversation. This isn't just about having a very enjoyable marriage and we're going to be having great times. This is about actually building something like a legacy, building generational wealth, as you mentioned. This is about building something. This understanding that you're actually joining somebody to build together. So all of us, we need to trust each other enough to put all of our resources, our energy, our time, our money into building these things. But it requires a huge thing, which is trust. And I think one of the biggest things our generation, unfortunately, is plagued with right now is we're all suspicious of each other.
100%.
And if you don't trust somebody, you can't build with somebody. And so when you're suspicious of your partner, you're suspicious of your friend, you're suspicious of anyone, how do you fully trust them enough to really put everything you have into building what God has called you to build, or building what it is that you desire for the future? You won't. You'll be hiding your pile of bricks back there. And when the bricks on the main project have finished, you're like, well, we don't have anything. But you stashed your own in the corner. That's not helping the cause. You have to be willing to know this person also isn't hiding bricks in the corner. And a lot of us, dare I say, grew up seeing, moms, dads, they're stashing their little F-off money is there. They've got money that their partner does not know about. They've got accounts here. Some of them had whole families somewhere else. Someone's building a house project. The other person doesn't know. Their name is not on the deed. There was a lot of individualism within the marriage. And that's an issue if you're going to build together. And I'm not saying it's easy. Partnership is not easy.
Hard.
Two becoming one is a mystery. A deep, deep, deep mystery.
The stakes are high, baby.
The stakes are high, and it genuinely takes a supernatural amount of faith and genuine love and selflessness and all of that stuff, like, to make it work. But that's the only way it works. I can guarantee you, I think a lot of us can attest to seeing the ramifications of our parents or people in our lives being in a union, but being divided, being so separate, still having my mind is on my vision, your mind is on your vision. And we haven't actually aligned because we don't trust each other. We don't trust that if we came together, both of us would benefit from that union. However, I'm sure a lot of us can attest to the fact that when there isn't that level of agreement, when there isn't that level of alignment, there is also a limitation on the progress. There's a limitation on the results. Like, some of the people in my family have often said to me, and it's one of the biggest things I learned from, I wish we had come together. Although we were married, I wish we had actually come together to build. We were still building individually, despite the fact we're being married, despite the fact that we are married. And I feel like that's because a lot of us culturally, the point of a marriage is just to have children. Yeah. It's not about building a legacy. It's about having children. And I think we need to change our mindset a little bit to know that the same way you birth children, you also birth a vision in union, right? So that's what I would say.
I think that's so fantastic. And I love that you spoke about the suspicion and how that is literally the antithesis to trust. Because funnily enough, I think there's work that women need to do, but I do think understandably there's a lot of work that men need to do. I know there's some brothers that are listening to this, so I say this kindly. I say this kindly.
Where is that accent from?
That's a good question. You know, my favorite one at the moment right now is like, what? You know, that British accent that's like, oh, you all right, mate? So like, the way we're going to overcome this issue, I'm going to talk about it now, Right. Maybe the lad accent. Maybe that's how I'm going to address the brothers so that they won't come for me in the comments because, my brothers. My brothers, this fear that the man them have, that the girls are coming to just rob their gold. But you man out there, a lot of you don't have gold to dig. This fear that when you come into marriage, all of a sudden, poof, everything is going to leave. Everything is going to go. She's going to clear me out. I know. I get it. I know that there have been the examples of such. But coming in straight away, I want a prenup and you ain't got no assets. Maybe that's not the way you want to go out. Or like, oh, she has to change her last name. But your last name, it doesn't mean much just yet.
Oh dear. Renee,
let me stop trolling. Let me stop trolling because someone will listen to that and actually come for me. Guys, please, I'm trolling. But there is truth to the trolling. I do think that there is a lot of work that needs to be done on both sides to really build and facilitate trust, especially because of the prevailing narratives that exist for both men and women. Absolutely. This narrative that women are gold diggers and constantly trying to strip you of whatever assets that you have, which are real or imagined. This suspicion that this woman is going to like just run you dirty and do you dirty and just everything is going to be ruined by virtue of this woman coming into your life. Are you really ready for marriage if you're not willing to take the risk? It really reminds me of like trying to make a boat go, but you've got two people that have got one of their feet on shore. The boat is not going to go anywhere. You're not going to be able to make that progress that you were mentioning if you guys are not fully committed. And there's too many of us that are in committed relationships without commitment.
We're uncommitted.
You may be loyal, you may not be sleeping with somebody else, but are you really moving as one? Are you invested? Are you truly invested across the board, emotionally, mentally, financially? And that's the reason why it's often so awkward to talk about finances when it comes to couples and relationships, because everybody is looking out for their own as opposed to coming together in unity. Do you know how much more you can do by virtue of working with somebody financially? And it's funny because it's often, I can't remember what list it was that we were looking at, but the amount of married couples and family members that are doing well in things like business, in entrepreneurial pursuits, in building wealth, because there's the two of them.
The top 100 fastest growing companies in the UK list.
Exactly. A lot of them are married. The like directors or people that have a significant stake in the business. A lot of them are married. And it's so unfortunate that we've allowed these narratives and also our own experiences to run rampant and color our picture of what marriage should look like. We have so many people that are jumping into marriage with only one foot in the door. You will not be able to close the door of everything else if you don't have both of your feet committed inside the boat. And I think Ken and Mary, the reason why that was such an important episode is because it showed a positive example of what can happen when two people come together properly. Because we are the amount of relationship woes that we hear on Twitter. Crazy. Yeah, she's gonna steal your money, bro. Or like, sis, you better have your FU fund to get ready to run out. And don't get me wrong, I am all about making sure that you are fortified financially. But if that becomes your ultimate priority, you will never achieve anything of greatness. You will constantly be looking for the escape route. Absolutely. When you're distracted, it's like running a race and you're constantly looking for when you can bail out. You will never be focused on winning the actual race because you're constantly looking at ways that you can get out. Focus on finishing the race. Of course, there's going to be, bumps along the road. And yes, it takes a tremendous amount of trust, but trust is important. And too many of us This is why you should not rush into finding your life partner and deciding, I want to run with this person before building trust.
Yeah.
And trust, that's everything, man.
Yeah, trust is everything. It's really important. Like, I think a lot of us need to remember that as much as we see a lot of examples of marriages that have ended and they've ended in the prenup and, she took half of what I had. These things are actually less common. The majority of the statistics actually reflect that people who get married, that's when their real wealth journey actually begins. Like, it's actually in getting married that people accelerate in their finances, that their finances really begin to multiply. And I think what we have been lied to about is because we see a lot of this happen to celebrities or people in the public eye, and we think that it's due to the money. The money was the cause of the betrayal in the marriage. No, it's the culture of celebrity. Like, celebrity culture often leads to divorce, right? No matter how much you're making, it often leads to divorce because of a whole bunch of different factors, like the pressures of the public eye, the accessibility to different things, just general recklessness that is glamorized in that space. But when you look at wealthy people who are not wealthy from music or not wealthy from like the entertainment industry or just aren't wealthy from being in the public eye, most of them are married. Most of them are married, or even if they are divorced, they can attest to the fact that it was when they got married that things started to do really well for them. A perfect example is Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Like, this is not about, the exceptions of people who are single and built wealth. The majority of people who have built lasting wealth, large amounts of wealth and a legacy for their families for generation to generation, it mainly didn't happen until they got married to somebody. Yeah. And that's a reason why a lot of middle class people get married, and they get married young. They get 24, 25, they're getting married. Because that's when life really begins for them, wealth-wise. Do you get what I mean? So I think there's a lot for us to overcome. And the answer here isn't more division and suspicion in marriage. It's actually true union and actually changing our mindset to get rid of that suspicion, to get rid of that suspicion, and actually picking partners who we can trust fully. Yeah. Right. And being partners who can be trusted.
Yeah. Facts.
So go and watch Ken and Mary's episode if you haven't. It was probably one of my favorite ones that we've ever recorded. They were phenomenal guests. We have to have them back. They're currently on sabbatical, living up to their word, literally enjoying.
The reason that they can be on sabbatical, guys, literally, we had the conversation with them off cameras as well. The reason that they can be on sabbatical for a month is because they built wealth together and they had a vision that they would take the month of X off to be able to enjoy with their family.
So we will have them back once they're back in office. And honestly, sisters, we appreciate you. We hope that this episode has been helpful to you. Share it with somebody, and actually go and share the last episode with someone, especially if they are dating, thinking about dating, they are engaged, they are, working towards a serious relationship, or they're preparing to get married, or even if they are married. If they are somebody who just wants to build wealth and they're looking to do it with a partner, share it, send them the WhatsApp link, send them the link. Okay. We hope that you enjoyed this episode as well. But you can keep up with all things sisterhood during the week by following us on social media at To My Sisterhood, literally everywhere. You can also follow us individually at Renee Kapuku in the red lip and at CD Boating in the brown blonde braids.
Yeah.
And make sure that you sign up to the mailing list, because don't be a dummy. Let me tell you something. It's been going on 4 years now.
Please.
It's been going on 4 years now.
Please.
Guys.
Please. Listen, nobody's above blocking. If we receive any messages, I missed it, I might just block you. I'll unblock you after, but I might just block you. Please sign up to the mailing list. And not just for the live show tickets, but also if you want life. Every single week, we write a whole love letter to the sisters, speaking about the episode in question, but also just something to give you some affirmation and some support throughout the week. So make sure that you sign up to that mailing list ASAP.
Yeah, make sure that you do. But yeah, I don't think there's anything much more to say. Rate the podcast 5 stars.
I was literally thinking the exact same thing.
Rate the podcast 5 stars, because why not? It's a great podcast. And sisters, we will talk to you very, very soon. Have an amazing week. Ciao, ciao. Oh, and as always, sorry. Keep glowing and growing.